Welcome to Thrift for Good. My name is Jen, and I'm really excited and proud that we have Joe, who runs Child Rescue Nepal, here with us today to tell us more about their incredible cause. They're a partner we work with often in partnership with Golf for Good, and we're just really proud to support this.
Take it away, Bird. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. My name's Joanna Bega. I've got 24 hours into LA, and it's my first time here, but I really, really wanted to come and see you guys. I've been super impressed with the shops. They are absolutely brilliant. I have actually volunteered in a charity shop in the UK. I've been behind the scenes, and it's in no way as organised or beautiful as what you're doing here. So it's been brilliant. They rescue children who've been trafficked into slavery from the rural areas in Nepal into the city in Kathmandu, and normally we can actually successfully reunite them with their families, which is what we love to do. So I'm going to just take you through the presentation. I'm going to tell you why the kind of work we do and why I love what we do and why I'm so grateful to be working in partnership with you. So I think the best thing is to just show you the work we do. We were very lucky a few years ago to have a filmmaker, a Nepali filmmaker, who was able to go and actually film a rescue. And I think this is the best thing to do to introduce you to our work.
जेसुकैमा होस् 14 वर्षको मुनिकोलाई काममा लाउनु पाउँदैन फेरि यो बच्चा मैले काठमाडौँमा भेटेछु भने म फेरि सिधै लगेर परेको 1-2 लाख रुपैयाँ जरिमाना र 1 वर्ष जेल ठोक्दिन्छु म फेरि थाहा छ अनि बेको काम पाउँदैन ब्याङ्कको काम पनि पाउँदैन कामै गर्न पाउँदैन
रिक्सै हुन्छ रेस्क्यु भन्ने बित्तिकै रिक्सको बाटो त हिँड्नुपर्ने हुन्छ तर माइनर चाइल्ड जस्तो 14 वर्ष मुनिको छ भनेदेखि चाहिँ हामी हाम्रो उसमा लिन्छौँ भन्ने कुराहरू गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हुन्छ भन्नुभएको छ उहाँले यो म्याप गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यहाँनिर हामीले यो जुन सुमनहरूलाई पहिला रेस्क्यु गरेको थियौँ त्यही एरिया हो नि त हो त्यो एरिया भइसकेपछि चाहिँ दुईजना चाहिँ यहाँ यतापट्टि गएर चाहिँ बस्नुपर्छ किनभने यहाँ रेस्क्यु गर्दा गर्दै लुक्नु सक्छ भाग्नु सक्छ भगाउन सक्छ अनि आफै पनि सुरुक्क जान सक्छ किन बालकहरूले काम गर्नु हुँदैन भन्ने थाहा छ कति वर्ष भयो यहाँ काम गरेको
2-3 महिना
घोट्नेको काम मात्रै हो अनि तिम्रो साथीहरू पनि होला नि त तिमी नडराउ हामी केही गर्दैनौ है डराउनु पर्दैन तिमी केही हामीले सोधेको मात्रै तिमी
अब तिमीहरू एकदम सुरक्षित ठाउँमा आइपुगेका छौ नडराउनु है ठीक छ डराउनु पर्दैन अहिले चाहिँ तिमीहरू गएर घरमा बस्छौ जहाँ चाहिँ दाइ भाउजू हुनुहुन्छ अनि तिमीहरू माम खाने हैन अनि खेल्ने नुहाइ गर्ने सरसफाइ गर्ने आफ्नो हैन अहिले भर्खरै दिलो आन्टीले नि कुरा गरिराख्नु भएको छ हैन किन हामीले तिमीहरूलाई त्यस्तो ठाउँबाट लिएर आयो भन्ने कुरा अब बल्ल बुझ्दैछौ नि हैन तिमीहरू सुरक्षित छैनौ नि त हैन त्यस्तो यस्तो सानो कलिलो हातहरूले तिमीले त्यस्तो मेसिन चलाउनु पर्छ त्यस्तो एसिड चलाउनु पर्छ हैन केमिकलहरू नगरिकन हिँड्न लगाइजाउँ है अब बेलुका अब जाऊ आनन्दले सुता आज है किनभने अब आज भोलि बिहान 5 बजे उठ्नु पर्दैन नयाँ पाटो सुरु भयो नयाँ पन्ना सुरु भयो त्यो पन्नामा त ब्युटिफुल हैन
गोल्डन पिरियड हुन्छ नि एउटा खेल्ने रमाउने साथीसँग आफ्नो परिवारसँग साथीसँग स्कुल जाने स्कुलको ब्याग बोकेर स्कुल युनिफर्म लाएर स्कुल जाने एउटा सुन्दर भविष्य कोर्ने टाइम हुन्छ नि म डक्टर बन्छु म इन्जिनियर बन्छु अथवा म पुलिसमा हुन्छ अथवा म ड्राइभर हुन्छ अथवा म यो उनीहरूले श्रम बेचिरहेका हुन्छन् कि आफ्नो श्रम यति घन्टा बिहान 5 बजेदेखि 4 बजेदेखि बेलुका 9 बजेसम्म पैसाको लागि आफ्नो श्रम बेचिरहेका हुन्छ कि त्यो चाहिँ नहोस् भन्ने मेरो चाहना हो हाम्रो अर्गनाइजेसनको चाहिँ कुनै पनि बालबालिकाहरू परिवारबाट छुटिन नपरोस्
So this is Vivek, who you'll see from the video. He was just 11 years old, and he even looks younger actually. In the video, it said that he'd been there for I think 6 weeks or something, but he'd actually been there quite a few months. So his story was that he was going to school in a rural area, and he had some kind of a falling out with his teacher, and he started to drop out. He started just not to go to school, and his brother-in-law saw him and went to his family and said, look, I can see there's a bit of a problem here. I've seen Bega out of the street. I've got a solution. People might walk past this kind of factory in Kathmandu and actually just not think anything of it. So our job is not only to just do the rescues, but also to shine a light and just say, look, come on. Even to the boys themselves, sometimes they just, there's this phrase in Nepali called kagane, which just means like what to do. It's like very fatalistic. It's like, oh, well, this is bad, isn't it? What have I done to deserve this? But they just accept the situation, and it's really hard to fight back. Occasionally, someone will go and kind of raise a flag, but actually it's organisations like ours who are being proactive, going around looking, is this child with this family, or this child come from a different region, are they speaking a different dialect or a different language? You know, are they going to school? Are they safe? Does something just look wrong? So we go around and we start looking and asking questions, and rescuing children completely dramatically out of situations, which we always do with the police, we always do with the Department of Welfare, Women and Children, Department of Labour. So we find out that children from many different places, but we will always act, and we'll never leave any children behind, even if there's more than what we think. So that is basically our work. It does matter. Every child's life is so important, and I've been doing this job for 10 years, and it's not over. We have rescued over 1,000 children, and vast majority we've managed to reunite with the families, and they're back with their families, or they've grown up and they've got jobs and they've gone on. So we've got high success rate, but it's just not enough. We just need to do more. We need more awareness. We need to go upstream and find out why this is happening in the first place and what we can do to stop it. So we're doing a mixture of work with schools so that children stay safe in schools. We're doing anti-trafficking workshops, and we're doing research, which we're releasing. We're doing billboards, we're doing radio jingles. We're trying to reach as many people. We're not a huge charity, but why I love this charity and why I love what I do is that we're big enough to have an impact, but we're small enough to know where all the money goes. So I go to Nepal twice a year. I have amazing Nepali staff. And we know the children, we know the work, we know where the money goes, but we are able to make a difference. And that's why I think this charity is doing an amazing work. And I'm so glad that we're able to work in partnership with Thrift for Good. I don't think you need me to tell you that slavery and human trafficking and using humans as cheap or free labour is absolutely rife still. This is a problem that is still so current across the world. Nepal is by no means the only country where this is an issue, and one of the hardest things is obviously it's a very hidden problem that many times is out of sight, out of mind. It's back in garages or warehouses and basements and you know, all around the world, and it's a problem that affects millions. But we do know, we don't know the exact numbers, but we do know about a quarter of children who are trapped in modern day slavery, which is just kind of, you know, terrifying really, that actually children are seen as cheap labour and a way to make more money, even in this day and age. So this is one of the boys that we rescued who's just cleaning the tables. Sometimes they'll go to school, other times they're working all the time, but it's like their lives just aren't counting, and we want to make their lives count. We want to tell them that they're valuable. We want to give them another chance, and we want to give them back to their families and their communities and say, you know, you shouldn't have to grow up on a floor of a little workshop in Kathmandu. You know, you should be in your community, up in the mountains, learning your customs, speaking your language, being with your families. This is where you should be. So we don't really think institutional care is ideal for children, but if there's nowhere safe for them to go, we will care for children in family staff homes. But mainly we are really trying to reunite children back with their families and just give them basically another chance at life and a happy ending. So, as I think I already said, we just get up and rescue. We do that dangerous frontline work. We do it with support. You saw from the film, we plan. We don't go in without kind of multi-agency meeting beforehand and making sure everybody knows exactly what's happening, what's going to go on. Look at how young these children are. It's unbelievable. These children were reported to me directly by a Facebook message. I was sitting in church and I got a message in a sermon, like these very small children to be spotted in a resident kind of rest house and a hotel. And we were able to find them from that message and rescue them. But incredibly young. And these children were reunited with their families quite quickly. But yeah, it's an amazing privilege to be able to do this. So the charity has been in operation for 25 years. It started by rescuing children, looking after children who were being jailed with their parents. That was how it started. So the guys started the charity, came and read the newspapers in Kathmandu, saw children being jailed for their parents and basically cared for them until the parents came out. And then started pursuing Nepali children being trafficked into Indian circuses and just basically relentlessly following them around, and where they found police forces that weren't corrupt, doing raids and bringing out large amounts of children from there, and eventually put an end to that practice. And now it's basically, the trend is kind of more small industries. It's not big trafficking rings. It's just, like I said, like village uncles, just really corrupt people who don't value the lives of children. So this was the 1,000th child rescued, who I went to see, and I just thought it was a real kind of milestone. And I think when you look at those 1,000 lives, we still know those children. It's a holistic rescue. So after rescue, we'll reunite with families where we can, but we'll go back and we'll monitor. We'll turn up, we'll call, we'll be in touch with the teachers, we'll know the village elders, we'll know that those children are staying safe. And although we've had a couple of failed kind of placements, they've come back into our care, we don't know any children that have gone on to be re-trafficked. So we have a very, very robust reintegration process. But that 1,000 is a big number of children who are now grown up, working in the police, they're teachers in the army, they've gone abroad to work, they've got degrees, they're married for children, and they're doing really well. And I'll show you a picture at the end of some of our kind of grown up children. But she came to the UK, she stayed in my house with Dilu, the tiger lady you saw in the video. Dilu stayed in my house. It was honestly just absolutely amazing. I couldn't stop them cleaning and cooking. In the end, I just was like, I can't give up. I tried to cook for them. I tried to do it. I just bought loads of vegetables and rice. Oh my God. But they were in the garden doing Easter egg hunt. It was so, so lovely. And we also got a load of media coverage. It was fantastic. We got some pro bono PR support from an organisation. So this was in the Telegraph or the Times, I think. This was doing an interview very, very early in the morning. Had to get off. This was Radio London, and this is Asma during the race. And she finished in 3 hours 27, which it was a very hot day. She was disappointed. I mean, that is an amazing time, obviously, for a first time to get on a marathon, but she did really brilliantly. But we were so proud of her, and she raised over £12,000 as well for the charity. And I think that's another reason I love the charity, that kind of just holistic, that actually she raised that money to go back into the charity that saved her. So it's the long term which we care about. It's the value of every single human life, and is everything to us, especially with young people. So that's Asma's story. Children who attend school regularly are much less likely to be trafficked. And so improving government community schools is another part of what we do in terms of prevention. Obviously, it's great for education. A tap is a good thing anyway in a school, clean water, and classrooms that don't leak, and all these things are great. And so we have also, over the years, applied ourselves to practical solutions. So this was a very extreme example of this. So on the left is a photo that went viral in Nepal. And this was the school principal taking one of the students across the river to school where the monsoon was there. So the community lived on one side and the school was on the other side. And so to get to school, children had to be carried across. And I know that my children would find it like hilarious on day one. I can tell you, like, after many days, none of these children were happy to be doing this. They were crying. It was stressful. It was deep. It's far. And some of them, if their families weren't around that day, just didn't go to school. So it was becoming a massive factor. And then we went to visit the school because we'd actually rebuilt some of the classrooms there. And this was some of our team tried across, and it honestly was no joke. So I was like, right, we're going to build a bridge here. We just need a practical solution here. Maybe it's not like 100% related to child trafficking, but this is so important. This community needs to be connected. And it was our 25 years, and it was £25,000. I was like, right, that works. So we just raised the money in 2 weeks because people could just see this picture and be like, right, just had to say that went viral in Nepal. Nobody did anything. I did turn in, no one, the government didn't do anything, no businesses, nothing was coming. So I was like, okay, we're going to have to do something. And so we did create this 86-meter suspension bridge, which we opened a year ago. And not only is it good for the children to get to school, it's opening up the community to sell their vegetables all year round, or if a mother goes into labour and needs to get to the hospital, like, it just did really connect the community. And so it's great. Like I said, we're small enough to be quite nimble and to go like, right, that's a need, as a very practical need. Okay, I hope we can do that. And our supporters are so amazing because they just get on side with those, with the problem that needs solving. So there's other things that we do. Thing that Really for Good and Girl for Good funded classrooms in a school where they just had crumbling walls and leaky roofs, and it just not fit for purpose. And this was quite a big school, so 6 classrooms were built, and this was the joy of opening them last November, which was it's just great to be able to do something super practical, but will be around for years to come. And then the other thing that we've done is water, which one school principal told me after they put a tap in, the attendance rose by about a third. So it's just such a good practical thing to do. So this is the prevention side, and we're also planning to video young people who are a little bit older, who are willing to tell their stories, just like straight to camera in Nepali, and then take a portable projector to villages and just say, you just got to see this, because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But that story straight back in terms of prevention, and it's going to make a big difference. And another thing, which is not related to the picture, but just there's been an area where we've done some rescues recently, and quite a few rescues, and the police, because you probably want to know what's the punishment for people who are caught with children working. Well, they're often very small cottage industries, and so it's not like smashing a big kind of trafficking ring, and they will be fined, they'll be re-inspected. But at one place where we did a lot of rescues recently, the fine, the back pay for all the children was minimum wage. And so words got around, well, you might as well employ an adult. If you're going to end up having to pay minimum wage back, there's no point in having a child, is there? So some of those things are really, really working well as a kind of disincentive to use children as labour. So we believe that families should stay together and be supportive wherever at all possible. We've directly cared for 500 children in our family-style homes. Sometimes that's just for a few months until family situation is kind of stabilised or has changed, or maybe there's an older brother or sister that's got married and that's appropriate. So wider family as well, but we will always be looking to place a child back with family where it's all possible. We've supported over 300 young people into jobs who are rescued young people who've grown up. We've jailed 14 traffickers. That was more in the earlier days when there was bigger kind of trafficking rings over, and permanently ended the practice of Nepalese children being trafficked into Indian circuses. But also the figure that's missing there is how many children are being impacted by prevention work with the schools, and we think that that's close to 100,000 have been impacted by a classroom or a tap or a bursary, hygiene kit, training. So some of our prevention work, that's gone really far and wide. And so that's a big figure as well. Makes us different. I think what makes us different, one of the things that is different actually, is that there's quite a few organisations that are working with girls, and we do have a partner that works with girls. But boys often get forgotten. Boys are, almost kind of hard to reach because people don't seem to value them as much as girls. I think the girls are very obvious, especially if there's been a case of sexual abuse. They're very obviously needing rescue and support. But actually, boys, we do boys, and we're one of the very few organisations that actually do rescue boys. We rescue properly, so it's pretty easy to stand on the border with open border with India and just pull children, and then next day they're there again. But actually, our kind of very rigorous reintegration guidelines, working with the police and social services, mean that it's a proper job. And I think that we are our family style homes. You can see we're really fostering family. You will see here children from many, many different kind of backgrounds within Nepal. There'll be different languages spoken there, but we are really good to foster family. Something that I've always noticed when I've been to the care homes is that the older boys are always supporting and looking after the younger ones. There's a really, really kind of good sense of family there, and that's something that's really important to us.
I know there's not much capacity, but are you guys doing work to like advocacy and policy change and things like that to work with the government to make it harder?
Yes, that's a kind of strategic growth area that we want to be able to do. We want to be able to stretch that and do that. But we are very encouraged by the new government in Nepal, because the new Prime Minister was the mayor of Kathmandu, and he's, by one of his real passions is children working, underage working, and he's been encouraging young activists to basically phone in when they see we've been involved then in those rescues. So there's a lot of optimism that this will move up the agenda, and I think my real hope is that it becomes just very uncool to have children working for you, like that it becomes rather than a norm that people walk past and don't really think about. Actually, it's frowned upon in terms of society. There's a real, like, children should be in school, one day in school, actually that's going on. And I think part of that will be media and telling stories, telling all rescue stories. So Mansingh, one of our young rescued boys, is now working for us as an intern. He's written an open letter to the Prime Minister asking to prioritise child rights, and that's been published in one Nepali-speaking online newspaper already. But so we are kind of working on that as well, and trying from all angles really. But I think that's definitely an area we want to see growth in, for sure.
Well, then, what's next?
Sure. Saw people online from the UK, and obviously there's lots of people online in the room today from Dubai. How can people get involved or donate in the UK or in Dubai?
Lovely question. It's as if I was just planted it there, but I didn't. I mean, what has been, amazing and remarkable is our kind of emerging partnerships with both Golf for Good and Thrift for Good, and the kind of fact that you come and see the work, a kind of synergy in what you're doing, and the really good kind of open partnership, and that's why it's been lovely to be here. And so we hope they will continue. I think if you've seen this and you think, well, this sounds quite interesting, then I would encourage you just to get on the e-news list, as a first step. Find out more. You'll know when rescues happen, you'll kind of see that happening, and in almost real time. And I think that will connect you to the work. So I'm sure Den can send out that link. So do sign up. If you're feeling like you want to go a step further, we have child champions who are regular givers, and that could be any amount. But if you become a child champion and give even like £5 a month, you'll get really up-to-date stories of young people that have been helped that you wouldn't see anywhere else. You do get kind of a special treatment around that, because it's just hugely helpful. Anyone can give regularly. And just keep supporting Golf for Good challenges. Come Thrift for Good. Give your lovely clothes. Volunteer your time. We are getting an enormous amount of support from you guys here, and it's so valuable. So support what's going on here, and if you want to get involved individually, you'd be also obviously very, very welcome. I mean, for me, the story of Asma is just like amazing, and partly because I've now she's been in my house, and she's kind of become a little part of my life. And I think Asma is just her determination to kind of self-determine her outcome of her life, to just want to start reading and writing. And also there's Mansingh, who's the guy who's written the letter. He was very, very rare. He was working and he took himself off to the police station with like, oh, this is not right, not having this. And I love his sense of like justice and value on himself. And I think the fact he's now working for us as an intern, and hopefully he's turned to job. He's also doing a degree in economics at the same time. Like, I love that as well. I just think that kind of real determination, just that sense, this is not my lot, this is not right for me, and I just want more children in Nepal to think this is not right. You know, when you say to them like, do you think it's right that you should be working from 5 in the morning to 9 at night with a few biscuits? And it's,
You know, maybe it's not, they're not living with a sense of injustice about it. And I would just, you know, want to see, you know, to change that kind of awareness that this is not right for children.
so this is Bebek today. So Bebek was the one you saw in the metal work factory. He did going back home. He was, as you saw, quite a tearful and reuniting with his mum. It's quite unusual. Most of you Nepalese don't really show much emotion. That's quite an unusual one. So he went back. I think his brother-in-law and the sister, I think they separated. She divorced him. I think they saw that he was a pretty nasty piece of work and abusive. So that family was brought back together. He grew up and decided he wants to train to be a chef. And this is a chef training school, and he's a brilliant chef. So when we went these guys were not on North Trent, were they?
What I don't know that idea is going to have to point.
Yes, and this is next time. Next time, I would definitely take you to this amazing chef training kitchen, where we were taught how to make momos, and I just love to see these young people like grown up and thriving, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the last picture is our 25-year reunion. That's just a snippet of the rescued young people with their partners, with their babies, and they was just a lovely, like, what's they call it? Just a reuniting, really, of people who've been together and staff, and that's just a lovely snapshot of what we're here for, really, and what you're supporting is these precious lives in Nepal. So thanks everyone.